Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to empower you with ways to present your natural state of being, right? After all, we're classified as human beings, and often I use this as a cosmic joke with my clients is that, and this is really the struggle, the conflict that each and every one of us as a human is going through, and that is life is about choices. Life is a momentarily process where we are making choices moment to moment. And those choices is how we forge ourselves, how we apply our energy into creation at each and every moment. Okay. And through presenting our natural state, it presents a self-awareness. So we can be aware of how we apply ourselves, how we apply our energy into creation, so that that energy works in our favor instead of working against us. Okay. And as the human, we have two forms of discernment that kind of come through, right? And that is either mind, an extension of its will is thought, and the heart, and its extension of will is feel, what we intuitively and authentically feel. And it's what do we action on, right? What choice do I make on the guidance that I'm being presented or given? Do I follow the thoughts and the thought forms, or do I feel what I just intuitively, instinctively feel? And the conflict is really because we are taught to perceive that the mind and the heart play for the same team. They are both parts of us and a makeup of who we are. But when we get those two forms of discernment from mind through thought, from heart through feel, we generally see that they never align or agree on with each other. And of course, if they were there for the same team and part of you for the highest good for you, wouldn't they get along? Wouldn't they align? And there's not enough people really looking at this concept. And obviously here at Truly Holistic, I'm not only an intuitive quantum healer, I'm a reality coach. I study reality because I believe that really as we live a life here, an experience where we are applying our creative process into our creation, what our reality is going to become, our experience is going to become in alignment to the reason why we're here to begin with, right? To convert experience into wisdom. We should understand this place. We should understand how it's created, how it's forged. Because we don't get an instruction manual when we get here about that. So a lot of the times in session work, at the core of it is really letting go of what you're not to facilitate everything you are. And we know that you as a soul is your authenticity. You as the human is the conditioning you have taken on. Because we come here as the soul first and we become the human second. And a lot of the reasons why we lose sight of the purpose of being here, as pun intended there, as the soul, is because we get carried away with our human roles and what we're conditioned to become, not what we authentically are, what we can get conditioned to become. And that conditioning really comes through a human that is guided, programmed, and conditioned by the mind and its thoughts. Okay, and that then causes a detrimental to our heart, and this is why heart disease is the number one killer of humans, is because duality creation that comes from the mind and thought then affects the heart, right? Because the heart is your authenticity, right? The heart's not there to give away to other people, not to facilitate for other people. It's merely when you open your heart, you facilitate your authenticity. You as the soul, which is your original purpose in being here, because you are facilitated here through the heart. The heart is a portal. Okay, it's your home. When we are in there, we feel grounded. When we're away from the heart, which means when we're up here, this opens, the heart closes off, and we feel ungrounded. We feel uneasy because we are not connected to where we come from, which is the home, which is home, was the heart, right? To feel that comfort, to feel that ease, right? And to feel unease is connected to being diseased, right? Which then creates this avenue of illness and all the things that we experience as the human in that means. So it's very important to be in the heart, get the heart open, present an open heart, and very few humans do that. All right. And as I say, I don't really like saying do that because really it's through being, as the human being very familiar with mind and thought, not just this lifetime, but numerous lifetimes, we we don't realize that to open the heart is not through doing, it's through being. And this is why so many people try meditation, fail at meditation, because they see meditation, like a lot of things, as an act of doing. Meditation's not to get to a meditative state. It's nothing to do with being, doing. It's to do with being, right? And I saw a quote by Eckhart Tolle the other day where he said, being is not presented through thought. Being is felt, okay, which I'm just talking about in this video. So I'm going to give you some simple things that you can do. Of course, we work extensively in session work to, as I say, from the start of a session to the end of the session, why people just feel completely different within 45 minutes of session, because we get them out of mind, we get them out of thought, we get them out of mentality, which is to shrug off all the things they're not, and to get them into heart and get them into feel. And then, that's why, at the start of a session, someone would feel confused, conflicted, feeling heavy, feeling angry, feeling disconnected, to 45 minutes later, right? Feeling at ease with self, having clarity, being calm, feeling light, right? So, and I know that a lot of times just simply saying, hey, you've got to get in your heart more, you've got to open your heart more, it sounds simple, but for someone that has been conditioned, programmed, and guided by the mind of the thoughts, which is really to make things more complicated and complex, simplicity can be the hardest thing to do. So, or present. So I'm going to give you some really simple things that you can work on that may support you in getting into the heart more, remaining in the heart, because there's a mastery to open the heart, but another added mastery to keep it open. So the first one is an analogy I'm going to present to you, which is when we get our heart open, we allow, and quite often with that clearing within session work, we say that it now presents the flow that you require. Now, your body, right, when the body's functioning well, everything's flowing. So we know that there's illness in the body when there's either a congestion, obstruction, or blockage to flow, okay? So, and we know that, and we call that illness, and we know that the ultimate dam or obstructor to flow is thought, okay, which comes from mind, right? So mentality is a vicious remanifestation cycle where someone gets stuck, which means to present a state to the body that's pro-congestion instead of flow, right? So when we get our heart open, I always like to say it is like we're allowing a flood of your energy, which is your consciousness, right? Your soul consciousness, what you innately and authentically are, which we could call your natural intelligence, where we could look at what comes through the mind, comes from thought and mentality, is an artificial form of intelligence, right? Hint, hint, AI, artificial intelligence. A lot of people perceive artificial intelligence as a technology that humans created. No, humans are an interface and avenue to allow that intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, to extend its will through. And how it does that is through the mind, through a human embodying the mind, as I say, embodying something they're not. So when we get the floodgates open, when we get the heart open, right? It's that aspect of flow. And we could look at the visualization of just a stream, right, of water in its natural environment that just wants to keep moving. That's what water likes to do. Water is a physical embodiment of flow. It just wants to keep moving. It doesn't want to stop. It wants to keep moving. And when we visualize, water in its natural environment, right, that when it's got faster flow, and it doesn't just flow like that, it flows like that. It's a vortex, right, which if you look down the barrel of it, is the spiral geometry. That geometry is connected to the Fibonacci sequence, to golden ratio, and so on, which is the creation of reality. Now, as it's got more of a vortex, so more ability to flow, that water generally stays cleaner, you'll notice. Now, when water loses its ability to move and flow and have that hold of vortex, then that water gets smelly and dirty quickly. So we can use that analogy in how we perceive the state we present the body, right? So if there's a promotion of congestion, then we get ill, right? Things don't work the way they should do. When we present flow to the body, which is presenting our natural state, then we present everything for our body to work in its highest potential. So when we get our heart open, it's like opening the floodgates, right? We're presenting a flow of energy, and we might want to use that analogy of a flow of water. Now, when we are not presenting our natural state of being, and we're not guiding our way through feeling into our situation from the heart, instead we're up in the head and we're doing it out of thought, we're doing it out of mentality, we're doing it from the mind, then it becomes a dam of that flow through mentality. Okay, so I always like to say, the expression to be in the flow, and why I love that is because it's talking about be, which is a state of being that presents our flow, our ability to flow, our innate ability to flow, which is really our own innate ability to heal the body and keep it well and keep it vital. Generally people feel like, okay, when problems are happening with the body, I lack something, I need something outside of me to correct it. Well, that is the mind speaking. Okay, from the heart, you do not lack anything. You have everything you need for the body to present a state of rejuvenation, regeneration, and healing, and that is through facilitating your natural state. I always say, a lot of the times out of doing, we become the block or dam to our own flow, which is the very thing the body requires out of doing, because we believe, oh, we've got to do this, got to do that, I need this, I need that. Instead of realizing our role here is just simply to present our natural state, to get that heart open, we get out of the way, and we allow the body to do what it innately knows what to do. It just needs the equipment, which is in a lot of energy and that flowing nature that you provide it when you drop in the heart. Okay. So quite often we do a clearing in sessions where we facilitate that person's consciousness, right? Which we'll call their infinite consciousness, infinite meaning an energy that has no boundary or limitation to it, right? It's endless, it's there. And it's your consciousness, right? And the avenue to bring it here, right, and it originates on the quantum level, is through the heart. And of course, to get it here, that heart needs to be open, right? And as I say, we may want to visualize and see that the heart is a door that we need to open to facilitate this avenue of what we are through it, which only presents who you authentically are, the greater wisdom or insight into what reality is about, who you are, but also facilitates the flow and the energy that the body requires to function properly. Okay, so we bring that from within through the heart, and when we extend it to the area we need that more of that energy and flow to, whether it's the digestive system because we're having constipation issues, whether that's through the arteries, the veins, capillaries, if we're having issues with high blood pressure, which is thick, congested blood, right? That where the body needs to push its pressure to get that blood flowing around the body. Whether that's you're known to have a congestive heart problem, a occluded artery, which means a lack of that vortex flow through because they haven't got their heart open. And again, you just need to close your eyes, visualize that, and use your attention and your intention, which are your powers, to provide that. Simple as that, really. Now, when we say facilitate your consciousness through the heart to that area, right, is it's bringing more of your light, more of your consciousness energy, and what obviously is creating the avenue to get it there is that flow, that vortex. Now, we could also see that as a wave, okay, which I find interesting because, when somebody is having chest problems, heart problems, what do? They take an ECG, or what's known over in US EKG, which is then shown as a wave form, right? Because the heart is it has a rhythm and a rate to it, right? Why? Because it's a doorway facilitating a vortex. A lot of people believe it's a vortex generator when really it's a vortex facilitator. And that's the waveform that then brings and carries your light, your energy. Okay, so now another way we can do it is through focusing on our breath, right? Which is very much connected to meditation, right? The practice of meditation. And I always say two key principles of that practice of meditation that we want to take away from meditation, because we never want to become dependent on a practice, because we want to gain what that provides us and apply it to a lifestyle, which is a moment-to-moment process, because that's what life's about. Life's not about practices. Life is about a moment-to-moment process of awareness of the choices we make, because those choices is how we apply our energy. Okay, so we can simply do this, right? That the two key conceptual principles of meditation is to close your eyes and to focus on your breath. Now, with this one, yes, we can close our eyes and we focus on our breath. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's about our ability to breathe, right? The rhythmical pattern of our breathing. Now, what it really is about is when we close our eyes, our attention's not on the distraction of everything around us. Okay, we can't do that anymore. And then the second step in presenting then our awareness on our breathing, it means that we return our awareness back to ourselves. Okay. Now, when we present a state of being, which, as I say, our awareness drops away from the head out of mind mentality thought into the heart to allow the heart and feel to now guide you, is very much connected to being present. Right. Now, when we return our self-awareness, we are now being present. Okay. We are now in that pocket of certainty we call the now, or infinite now, which removes ourselves from the perceived aspect of linear time, right? To now provide an avenue to facilitate what we authentically are, which is something that is not bound to time, which is you as the soul, okay? Which comes and happens through opening the heart, okay? So just through focusing your breath, right? Because the thing is, the mind externalizes your viewpoint on life, on reality, meaning you need to know what's happening out here. And as our attention, our awareness is applied out there, we lose sight of how we apply ourselves, which means we lose ourselves, which becomes a problem. Okay. So we want to return that so we become aware of how we apply ourselves. Okay. Now, the third thing I want to mention here is a big part in facilitating our natural state, a state of being, is to realize what we are, to then realize what we're not. And this goes back to the start, as I mentioned, right? There are two forms of discernment that are stated to be both a part of who we are, but they don't agree, they don't align. And what, after thousands of clients I've worked on over numerous years, I've realized there is a common culprit with every issue that humanity goes through, or health problem every human or individual has. And that is when that person is presenting a state that is not their natural state by being up here in the head and allowing mind, thought, mentality to guide how they perceive and process their reality. Okay? When we then get them out of there and shift them into the heart, then we gain the traction to provide the rejuvenation, regeneration, healing, their heart's desires, what they want to manifest, everything that you want, the joy, the peace, the love, the happiness that we're all looking for. It's found when we provide our natural state. Okay? So a great way in how we do that, right, our powers is through attention intention. Now, we need to no longer embody the mind as ourself, right? Our authentic identity, if we want to call it an identity, which really it isn't, is the self-awareness of ourself as the soul. It's what we authentically are. It's what we infinitely are. The human and the mind are just masks, identities that are not us. Okay? So, how do we go about no longer embodying the mind? Right? One, we no longer call it my mind. Right? Because when we intend my mind, remember your power's intention, we open the door to allow it to influence us because we're embodying it as ourselves. Right? The mind and thoughts will always be there, right? Because it's an intelligence in its own right, vying to use the body as an interface to extend its will through it. But we can see it there. We know it's there. There's a difference in just seeing it there compared to saying it's you, embodying it as yourself. So you can still identify it, but instead of saying my mind, you go the mind. And when you say the mind, you acknowledge it's there, but you keep the door closed off from it. You don't allow it in because you're saying, I see you, but you're not me. You don't support me because I know that you're not me. You don't present the state that supports what I want to provide, whether that's wellness, vitality, or the manifestation of what my life wants to become that is a reflection of my heart's desires. Right? It's interesting, we always use the word heart in regards to the core desires we want. Not the mind, not the body, the heart, because that's our authenticity. Our authenticity is provided when our heart is open, which we call a state of being. Okay? So, no longer embodying the mind, and that's a very simple way to do. Now, it's simple me saying that now. But I've said that to so many people, so many clients and sessions, for them to come back. Like, for example, I had a client today who was talking about the 3 principles of allow, surrender, and being, which are all principles to drop you in the heart and get you more into the heart. They started the conversation or the subject about talking about them to to bring it to his mind that he had to do those things, right? So that's telling me why he's having trouble with those things. He's still embodying the mind as his own, and he's unaware that he is doing that. Okay, you got to realize the mind wants a lack of self-awareness to be available because it knows that then it can grab one hand or preferably 2 hands on that steering wheel to steer your ship. You can't allow it to. Okay, so it's very important. Now, there are other things that Truly Holistic also supports and helps for people that want to get into their being. We create tensor technology, light technology, pendants, bracelets, and so on that we have on our product store. But also we create halos, especially for people that are wanting to feel into that meditative state. One of them is called the light halo, which is this one here. It's just a tensor ring, and we make little plates on it with Velcro, and you get to apply little crystals. I'll show you a couple like that, little crystals like this, that bring through different energetics of your expansion as a consciousness. This is not bringing energetics or energy that exists outside of you. It's bringing and facilitating more of you. As I mentioned, to get in the heart is a big important purpose in who we are, because ascension is all about facilitating everything we are and providing everything we need here. And we can only do that when we present our natural state of being, which is opening the heart. Okay, so it's a wonderful product that you'll see on the product store. We also create other halos. This is called an ease halo, and this is just to make you get to a sense of feeling more at ease, right? When you are uneasy, right, that is an indication, because the body is a form of discernment itself, the soul coming through the body, to try and make you aware that how you're applying your energy, which will be out of mind, out of thought, out of mentality, is veering you off the road. Okay. And that sense of unease is what is felt. And you can always trust what is felt because that's an extension of the heart, which is your soul coming through. It's trying to tell you that you need to change how you apply yourself, preferably to get out of here and to drop back in the heart. Okay. So when you wear this, which is to present that sense of ease, that is supporting your ability to get out of here and drop into the heart as well. So we have products that you can find at the product store at trulyholistic.net/products/. If you'd like to book sessions with me, whether it's for reality coaching or learn more about what I've talked about in this video, or the clearing work that we provide you to help you as well with all sorts of issues, go to my appointment page at trulyholistic.net/appointments/. If you really enjoyed this video, please remember to like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel to gain more content like this. Also, to push the notification bell so to be notified when the next video drops. Till next time, catch you later.